Okay, what we're doing here is graphing information that we had in the lab. You've previously done this by hand. You have a graph for height versus step length and a graph for foot length versus leg length. You were tasked with doing that in Google Sheets. Make sure you watch the instruction on inserting this chart as a demo, and then just take that here to our lab part 2. If you've done some data entry and moved information you recorded in lab into the spreadsheet, you should have everything you need. I do want to make a change here for the reasons explained in that last demonstration. We had graphed height versus step length. I'm going to flip that. I'm going to say we're asking the same question. How does height affect our step length? So as height changes, how does step length change? So I'm just going to flip it. That means height is going to go on our x-axis. Step length is going to go on our y-axis. So it might be flipped from what you had in the lab. I just thought I would correct that while I had the chance. So you might want to change the name of this tab. I've called it step length versus height. Height's going to be along our x-axis. Step length is going to be on our y-axis for the reason explained before. So again, be careful not to just select this data and insert a chart. You're going to need to select these 2 columns. If we're comparing height and step length, we're going to select those 2 columns. So I'm going to select height, hold Control, select step length column, and then we can go to insert chart. How's that look? Looks like everything's captured correctly there. So do we want to make any changes here? We can change it. We can always improve on our title, make any formatting, font, title changes, make sure your units are there, but I'm going to call this walking step length versus height. I'll say, hey, you know what? I don't need my units there. As long as my x-axis down here and y-axis are labeled correctly with the units, I think we're good. Same thing as before. There's a lot of dead space in this chart down here. I could change the information that's on my vertical axis, kind of get rid of those low values. Looks like we could go all the way up to 55 or 60 maybe. I think at 60, I'm still capturing my lowest numbers. Everything else is captured here. If you don't want this kind of falling off the chart, we could change the information on our other axis, give us a little bit of space. Looks like our minimum value is 160. We could make this 150. Not that much. How about 155? How's that? Great. Okay, I like that. So we'll roll with that. Now we're looking at the distribution of these data points on our scatter graph here. We can insert our trend line, right? You can go to customize, you can go to series, you can insert your trend line. You can see what you think of there as far as strength of the relationship. Looks like it's positive, right? Still see a line going up and to the right, but a little bit more spread out our data points. That might indicate a weaker correlation, right? So instead of maybe a strong positive, we might think this is a little weaker. So I'll let you come to your conclusions there. And then you've got one more scatter graph to make for our next tab, foot length versus leg length. So to do that, you'll need to move the data over. If you haven't, looks like we hadn't brought actually leg length onto this earlier. So bring your leg length data onto this data table. Take what you need to this last table, insert a chart, and it should be good. So again, as homework, just insert a scatter graph, well labeled, trend line, etc., well proportioned for our step length and for our foot length versus leg length. Okay, good luck.